You are watching the Wheel Talk podcast.
Welcome to the Planet 93.9 studio. This is the Wheel Talk podcast, your all-access look into everything Quad City Steelers, and I'm so excited for you to join us. I'm this episode's guest host, Dustin Eichten. We are excited to bring you locker room insights, player interviews, team analysis, everything that makes the Steelers, the most fun and competitive pro sports team in the Quad Cities. And we'll be doing that all year long, at least one episode for every home game. And I'm joined today by a couple of my coworkers, GM Destiny Brown.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, excited about this. I mean, every season we're trying to find new ways to evolve and elevate our program, and this is just one of those ways, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and the one who kind of put it all together, Director of Game Ops, James Macklin.
Man, I'm just excited for the season.
Yeah, 2025 season is coming up
Go
soon.
Wheelers.
I'm also joined by CEO Darren Brown, Regional Media COO, and he's got some connection to the Steelers that I want him to talk about a little bit here.
Yeah, definitely. No, Darren Brown, I spent a few years with the Steamwheelers. It was a very exciting time. It was back in 2003. I joined the team and was with them all the way till 2009 when they took a little break from the Quad Cities, unfortunately. But
and now we're back.
It's been exciting since you guys been back. It's brought back a lot of memories for myself, and it's pretty crazy. But me and my wife, our oldest daughter is a deck mate now. So how cool is that?
Circle.
That's pretty
full
cool.
Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we obviously came back in 2018. Destiny was with them that first season, and kind of had to take that COVID hiatus. That's where I kind of came into the fold, because when Destiny went up to Bismarck, that's when she met me. I was interning for the Bismarck Bucks up there, and she told me about how awesome this city was, how great the fans are, and up in Bismarck, we loved it. And I was, I'm from North Dakota, so obviously I appreciate it, but she's telling me about this new shiny, thing down there, and I'm like, well, I can't.
That's a salesperson.
Yeah,
we definitely had to steal him, is what happened.
I couldn't really commit to it. I mean, I was, kind of committed to going to another school for that, but I know she got me down here, and I'm just pretty excited. Every year, it's always the same level of excitement. In the off season, you're kind of going through the motions, you got through the marathon, but it's
relaxing.
It's an itch.
Oh yeah, and
cool down
the fans. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've been around to all the different stadiums back in the AF2 days, and we had the best fans. And the support is still there. From the long time OG fans, if you want to call them, that are sitting in the front row with their jerseys on,
absolutely,
and making friends with the players and the staff. It's always been a great city or group of cities, for sports.
Yeah, and I always love seeing some of the old stuff. Obviously when people wear the old jerseys or whatnot, it's cool to pay homage to that and whatnot. And I think it's it's something that constantly reminds you of there's those fans there that will always love you, always support you and stuff. And I think we've sometimes we get too hard on ourselves, or not in the front office, are people gonna like this, or people gonna enjoy this? And there's just people that in the Quad Cities that are just gonna always support what you do.
Yeah, there's something about Wheeler Nation. I know we might be a little biased, but since the OG days, I mean, really, they've been strong, proud, and they show up and they show out for us. So
I mean, it all started way before me even. I mean, if they wouldn't have won those first two championships, who knows? You know what would have happened with the fan base? But
we might not even be sitting here right now if it wasn't for that, right?
Knows?
Well, that and then I know when we came back, it was kind of we got to come back and do it right type of thing.
Yeah.
In 2022, and we sneak into the playoffs.
Yep.
We go beat round one. We go Mass and we beat them. We go down to Frisco. They're the number 1 seed, and we go down and beat them. And we kind of sneak into the championship game, and people are talking what? How'd they get here?
Yeah. I
remember even on the broadcast, it was kind of you look at the roster top to bottom. It's not it's not too exciting or whatnot, but it's kind of I think it's because of the Wheeler Nation, because of the fans. I mean, what are we? I think we're 22-8
Yeah. At home.
since coming back in 2022.
Yep.
At home, like
Yep.
we don't lose at home, and when we do, it's a turnaround. Take it with a smile, and you move on to the next week.
And James is over here knocking on wood.
I had to
Right?
make sure. Like,
Yeah, we got to knock on.
I don't want to
wood.
jinx it right now.
Absolutely.
We got to do that.
Oh yeah. Well,
Too
see,
scared.
that's the thing though. That's always been the secret. As long as you have a winning product,
Yeah.
Yeah,
people are gonna come.
Yeah.
that's what I always
it's
say.
It
great.
makes our
But-
jobs a lot easier if we have a winning product.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also the other fun factor too. The families that come out. It's not always about football. It's
Yeah.
about a good time, the promotions. That game operations guy doing his
Yeah.
job,
Right.
Yeah.
making it
Yeah.
fun for the whole crowd.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like we have the party decks, the party cove. It's a lot of like unique seating opportunities. You're not just coming to like you go to an NFL game unless you're making that money.
Yeah.
You have to pay that money to get those executive seating. And here it's
Everything's pretty cheap.
you can't. There's no ticket over $100.
Yeah.
And
And I
there's
think
there's no bad seat either.
Yeah,
too.
and I was gonna say I'd love to mention the Party Cove as well because that was an implementation from 2022, and
Yeah.
that's something that we just at the arena never had access to being able to fulfill a group size of over 60 people. So bringing them in, immersing them into that experience right there down on the field, they're
Yeah, and sold out for
Yeah.
this year.
absolutely
Basically sold
yeah.
out for this year.
Almost everything's sold out.
Hey, speaking of the party code, because that was something we didn't have back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And so for fans that have maybe not been out to a game yet, or maybe since then, what are some of those things that they can kind of look forward to and come into a game? What's kind of a night look like for a new family coming out to the Steamwheelers?
It just basically depends on what they want for their experience. It can be as
Immersive and
Ugh,
customizable.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
you customize,
immersive
we
and
customize
customizable
different
as possible.
packages.
Yeah.
and I think you guys both do a great job of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say, and it's a family-friendly, affordable, professional
Atmosphere.
sports experience, and the atmosphere is unmatched. I mean, yes, you come for the football game, but what you're getting is much more than football. It's live action entertainment, lots of promotions, a lot of exciting interactive experiences that
Right.
I think just set the bar. I mean, there's a reason why I'm still at this level when I always, thought I was going to go to the NFL and follow that big dream. But to be able to do it at this level and to have the touch on the community that we get to have, I just don't think you get that at any other any other space.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I can relate too. I didn't go work for corporate radio. I work for a locally owned company, and it gives us the freedom to be able to do the promotions and
Right.
the things that we want to do, just like you guys. I mean, that's kind of where I got my creativity from, was the Steamwheelers. I mean, it was so much fun to be able to think of different promotions and have
Right.
fun with it. Whether we did it or not, it was
Yeah.
still the planning of it and having fun.
There's a
see where
lot
it
of
could go.
promotions that we all have came up with and we're
Yeah.
very passionate about. There's some that I created that I'm so bummed that we never did.
Right. Yeah.
But there's some that
It's all
Dustin
about
has done.
logistics. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause,
And it's
you have to
sponsors.
make-
You need the
Yeah,
sponsors.
you gotta have
You
the
need the
partners.
sponsors to be like,
yeah, 100%.
I want that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to we come up with 2 to 3 and then give them to the sponsors, and then unfortunately they haven't yet to really pick the ones I've
Right.
created.
James is
You just
the
haven't
big
asked the
idea.
Well,
Right.
James is
He
probably
gets really
thinking
excited, yeah.
flaming rings.
Yeah.
and-
Like all those crazy
You
stuff,
know.
and they just want the little easy fun thing. It's still
Yeah.
fun. It's still fun.
but we make
Don't get me wrong,
we've
but-
always kind of made it. It's like big experience.
Oh yeah, it's
like
every
we
one
have,
of them
like
are
this.
amazing.
I mean, last year we had Midwest Bath, Chuck-a-Duck,
Yeah.
and Darren was like, that's one of those sponsors that gets excited about
Yeah.
it.
Well, and I think that's even more so to even talk about the creativity and the customization of these partnerships, because it used to be the football fling, right?
Yeah.
We used
Mhm.
to throw a football into the center of a hot tub, and it was great, right?
Yep.
But then you got someone like Darren who's like, I want to make this my brand
Right.
centric, and let's get fun, let's get creative with it, and let's throw ducks at a
And
bath.
It definitely was a little different
great.
because a lot of people they didn't understand it at first. I
Yeah,
guess
they
the
didn't
first
really
couple
know it was like
games.
Yeah.
it was like replacing the footballs.
Yeah,
Yep.
they didn't
People
understand.
were like,
that.
"What are these ducks?"
Yeah, where
I mean,
where
like,
these ducks come
you're-
from?
you're-
I don't have a Jeep. What are you talking about?
Right?
You're literally gonna be winning like a free bath remodel
Yeah.
Yeah.
with them too. So I think it's better. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it's better
and
than
in
what
addition
we've
to that, we've
in
done
the past.
like the chicken fling with like little screaming chickens.
I've seen the
Darren.
chicken fling.
Yes.
Yeah, the
I've
little
seen James out there working the chicken fling.
I
Yeah.
have gotten booed for that
Well,
Once or
and for
twice.
good reason.
Once or
you
twice.
know why
I'm
they're
not good
booing
at
you?
slingshotting.
You know why they're booing you?
because I suck at
no,
slingshotting.
it's because you're not wearing a chicken costume.
That's it.
Right.
I am not
Yeah.
wearing
Oh,
a
That
chicken
would
costume.
I
be
think
awesome.
I think we
No.
need a chicken costume.
It's
No
crazy
chicken costume.
the amount of costumes we talk about putting James in though.
Yeah.
Over the
see that.
years,
Hey,
like
I've had to be
If
the
you
mascot
haven't-
once or twice.
I was gonna say, if you haven't put the mascot uniform on, you haven't been doing game.
Oh,
ops right
yeah.
I
now.
feel
Oh,
very,
yeah.
We
I feel
always
very
are.
awkward doing that.
We
I think
always-
Dustin's the only one that hasn't been in the mascot suit
Yeah.
yet.
but and
Next
I
weekend
kind
it'll
of I kind
You know
of
what? That's the mascot uniform that I ordered. I couldn't
Oh
believe
my
it's the same
gosh.
one.
I think
Yeah.
we,
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we need to do a little bit, get something a little different.
Yeah, how do
Maybe.
you
Doug,
might be
update
on-
Steamboat
might be
You
on
need
Willie?
to help us out.
That was the update.
Like-
you should have seen the original
Oh
one.
gosh.
Like, oh my goodness. I mean, it was rough.
Yeah.
I think
oh,
we
yeah.
need like a big golf cart, and so Steamboat Willie can also drive a
We had
boat.
Yeah,
I
they
know.
did. Yeah.
And then
that-
Fulton took it, right?
Yeah, I guess they donated it to Fulton,
yeah.
and that was a project.
We need a rebuild, Darren.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I have it in me.
Put you on it. We'll put your logo. We'll put the Planet 93
Yeah,
Nines, a circle.
that,
Just kind of fit perfect right there. On
That
the
was
side.
probably one of the most fun I had during that entire time was building that steamboat.
That's
And
awesome.
It was a great time.
Yeah, and I think that's why we like how we find our enjoyment of is just the creation side.
Yeah.
Like people think it's a lot of like, it is a lot of this calling that exec, calling this exec, calling, working with Cory a lot on like the football ops side of things. But there's also that like, we get giddy, we smile about it. Like, what can we do creative wise? Like, I mean, I do social, Macklin's doing game ops, like, and then Destiny, like you're kind of overseeing everything and kind of like also working with the deck mates, like how can they make that experience exciting? And I just like that creation that we're able to do like on every front.
Absolutely. And I think speaking of the deck mates,
Yeah.
we gotta shout them out. I think that with the new season ahead of us, we also have our new head coach.
Yep.
And I think after our media day,
Yeah.
we our experience in that frame of things, like it's gonna be a whole new level of dance. I feel like
Right.
and just the game day entertainment.
Yeah,
that
they
they're
have a
gonna
level of
bring.
excitement like that we've never kind of felt before. And I like we said, it's excitement from top to bottom. It's like it's every year it's just getting more and more and more. And I feel like the fans on like their side of things are feeling that too. And seeing the new stuff with the deck mates. I mean,
they have a brand new tunnel that they're coming out with. It looks very confusing, but they know how to do it, and I'm just gonna leave it up
brand
to
new
them.
tunnel.
This is new.
Brand new
Yeah,
tunnel. I
brand
don't
new.
know
I
if
forgot
any
about that.
fans
Oh,
know
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
I was
So-
talking about the tunnel
For
for
the
the
deck
girls,
mates,
not
yeah.
our tunnel.
Oh, but
say. So
slight leak.
Yeah.
Yep, slightly. So you got to come out March 21st to see that tunnel. I might put a photo up there. So if you see my face or you see our faces, you're not seeing it
Do you have,
until you go out March 21st.
do you have the photo of me jumping in front of it? Are you? Gonna
I
post
do
that?
have the photo of you jumping in front of it. You were pretty excited when it came in the mailbox. You know.
Yeah, Destiny was in Florida, so like we couldn't open it until.
Yeah,
she
Yeah.
that was
got back.
one. That was one that I said, yeah, that package cannot be opened yet.
Until
was-
she gets back.
But
I
you can
was-
open the footballs.
Yeah.
We,
opened
we
footballs.
didn't even ask.
Yeah, they didn't
kinda
ask,
just-
but
but we had to make sure they were good, and
They are pretty good. I mean, I know we're working with new partners on the footballs this year, but
Yeah.
same quality, just as good quality, even a little bit better on some ends. And we have, I know in the past we've done 2 footballs like every season. You know, kind of just have a good rotation of like the style, and like some fans. Like in the stands, like they get 1 football, but then they're like, "There's another one."
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I need that one.
They still get to keep the footballs,
Keep
right?
the footballs.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
yep,
Yeah.
keep
But
the
this
footballs.
year
throw
we have
players
4
away.
footballs.
4 footballs.
Yeah.
pretty
Is that something
exciting.
you can share, or is that
we can share it.
you gotta
So we
wait?
have one's a halfway to Halloween night. So
Nice.
that's our like a Halloween themed football.
Yep.
Black and orange,
Yeah.
little tidbit there.
And
Yep.
then we'll have the military football.
Yep, we
for
have
the
a
first time. of
military
custom
night
military.
football. So I think that'll be kind of a cool opportunity and like a cool gift that we can give out, like
Yeah.
that people want to give out, to people they know who are vets or whatnot. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then you got your standard 2 in rotation throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, I think a really special perk to this year was being able to get really creative with those 2 promo nights and there's some other things that are in store for the fans too. So we're looking forward to that.
First, obviously, we have opening night.
Yeah.
And then the return of Union Night with dollar beers. I know everyone loves the dollar beer night. So I know Joe Crawl likes the dollar beer night. So that'll be exciting. After that, we have what?
So after the Union Night, we go into our Kids Night. So we're doing that this year again. We're going to be giving away some custom free kids jerseys for the first 500 fans through the arena. So we're excited about that this season. Partnered up with Crawford on those.
Yeah. And those will be gold, correct? Because last season we did like the red kids jerseys.
Yep. Vegas gold. They look very, very nice.
They look nice.
These might actually be better than last season.
We've always kind of honestly, like, it's been a big struggle with the gold. I don't know if, like, Darren, I don't know if you guys have had that issue back in the day, like getting the right gold.
Vegas gold is like tough.
We kind of had that.
We ran across some things in the past, but
thanks, Jim.
I was going to say,
shout out Jim Foster.
I was just going to say, it's all Jim, because you know what, that guy, he, in his mind, I could never imagine being inside his brain because it's firing on all cylinders all the time when it comes to this stuff. And I mean, he had it down. Like, here's what he wanted, and it had to be this color, code or what. I mean, he had it all figured out.
The vision was
so
there.
Yes, you guys are welcome.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a pretty good job at it. And seeing those kids' jerseys will be pretty exciting. Handing those out. I know we kind of had a little bit of stock from last season, and so we took those over to an elementary school.
Yep,
just handed them out.
Wilson Elementary School.
Yeah, so we had some connections over there, and just want to give back to the community a little bit with some Wheelers jerseys.
Yeah.
That's awesome. With talking about doing stuff in the community, what are some of the other things you guys do throughout the year? During season, maybe even off season, are there any players in the off season? Do you guys do promos, visits, things like that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're most proud of is our school appearances. We've been doing those since back in the beginning, and being able to expand our reach each year. I think last season we had about 40 schools that we were able to get into. And with that, we were able to give away some free tickets to those kiddos. The guys obviously get to go over there and interact with them.
Yeah.
Whether it's recess or they're playing, some sort of board games or things like that in the classroom, reading to them, or even
the kids love the recess the most.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
I know they all they come back and like talk about like the players when they come back. They're like take a deep breath.
They're worn out.
That was the hardest practice I've had this whole week.
Yeah.
Running around.
Joe Crawl was one of those. He actually has gotten tackled a lot.
Right.
There's, I think.
I know Keevan's been mauled.
I think
Keevan has been mauled by kids.
Well, this is a lot worse than Keevan's. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
He looks like Santa Claus. I would.
Joe literally was getting D-pants. They were trying to steal his stuff. I remember
this was an elementary school.
Yeah, this is.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, they weren't trying to steal his stuff, but like they were just trying to grab at him.
Yeah,
they were tackling him and like
they're trying to get recruited, is what I hear.
Yeah, that's all they're doing.
Tryouts.
Yeah. They're just trying to get him filmed.
Imagine doing that 40 times.
Get Coach Ross.
There you go.
I don't on an 8th grader.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't envy the players going out to that, but it's a cool thing to get those guys out there. Like they're more than just football players a little bit.
Yep.
And they're every year we get those guys that want to do it. Like they're excited to go do that. Because they're coming from D3 schools, NAIA schools. They've never had that experience.
But they're excited.
A pro football player.
They get excited at the beginning, but once you reach towards the end,
I think there's some that's still.
Once you reach towards the end, you're like, are we almost done?
Right? I think that's any of us with anything.
I think I think that's the same way we feel throughout the season.
Oh
yeah.
And after
also, not to forget to mention the kids camps that we were able to do.
Yeah,
as
we
well.
did. We did two youth deckmate kids?
Yeah,
camps?
so there's two youth deckmate camps last year, and then we had one football camp.
One football centered camp.
And
I remember we had like almost 80 kids at it.
Yeah, I think each of them. I know obviously as the summer months start to kick in, kids start going off. They play travel ball, whatever the case, and the numbers are a little slimmer. But at the
summer
end of the
soccers,
day,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean the turnouts have been awesome. I mean getting to watch those kiddos on game day come out and perform the routines that they've learned from the deck mates. I mean those are some of those moments that you just.
And it's one of those
into.
like I would say we stressed a little bit about like doing the kids camp because we want to do it right and we want to like we want to give these kids an experience that they can have for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's why we give the kids jerseys away. I mean, at the kids camp, they get a t-shirt, they get to, meet the players, and we have a big signing session after where they can, they hand out posters and whatnot. They get to sign that. And, that's how you build that lifelong fan from day one, type of thing.
Kids are going to get a lot more this year than just a t-shirt. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They'll be seeing a lot of different,
we have a
different stuff.
couple groups coming out to kids camp this year. That'll be pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But after kids night, what other games do we have? I know we have a couple of new ones even.
Take it away, Dustin.
Absolutely. Yeah, this has been my baby this off season. The halfway to Halloween, which is obviously, how does that correlate to football, right? What is?
I know I've got
the
some
push?
questions on like what Halloween. I know the intern was like, the one intern I was working with, he was like, Halloween, what's that about?
Yeah, no. So I mean, obviously, we all know. I don't know about you guys, but spooky season is something that I think many people look forward to all year round.
No,
I mean, except for James. James
is like bah humbug to Halloween.
See ya. Nope.
So.
I don't like clowns. I don't know. Do not.
Yeah,
come
but
towards
there's
me.
some correlations there with Halloween and football. They're both in the fall. They're both in that time of year.
Hey,
and so
kids dress up as football players.
Yeah,
that's
from-
I did dress up as a football player once when I was little.
Shout
out Percy
Big
Harvin,
Bird.
Minnesota Vikings.
There we go.
I dressed up as Big Bird and like Grouch or whatever the.
Oh, I was Spider-Man
The
for at
Sesame
least
Street stuff.
7 years of my life. I know that.
My dad always created. We always created our own costumes. We never went and bought them.
Well, that was why I dressed up as a football player. I'm like, comes October 29th, and I'm like, Mom, we haven't got a costume yet. Well, you have a Vikings jersey in your closet. Go put that on, and then walk around. Go. I'm in there with her mascara, putting the eye black on or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then walking around, with a pillowcase as our bag. Or
Ready to go. That's all you need.
And we'll probably be seeing a bunch of people dressed up for Halloween at our game, huh?
Yeah, and that's actually including haunt characters themselves. We're actually doing a little bit of a team up with a local haunt, and they are bringing out their scare actors. We're going to be hosting a in-house haunted house.
Hopefully they're chilling out by the away team bench.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going to send them down. I guess I'm gonna have to look into the rules on how close we can get to the away team bench, because we're gonna add a scare factor there.
I know. In the past, when we were in Bismarck, they were the Bismarck. I don't want to say their name because it's not appropriate, but their fan section was right above their away bench, and they had the horns that our Wheeler fans use, but they had them like with reeds on like a tube, so that when you blow into it, it would like all like really high pitch, and they would stand right above the away bench.
I know a few of our fans go to the away teams or away games, and they definitely have gotten into
they try to sneak in the horns on the away.
They've gotten into altercations
before,
especially Tulsa. I know Brian definitely has gotten into a couple
Brian Barrett. I mean,
altercations.
that's one of those guys that you just every game, like I know sometimes like I don't hear that he's coming down, and I'm like, we're on the away team field or whatnot, getting ready for the game, and I hear Dustin. I turn around, and it's Brian Barrett, and he's, he made the trip down to Tulsa or whatnot, or Green Bay, whatever it is. I know every Des Moines, Iowa game he's going to, because
you talk about loyal fans, and you always find Brian right there at the front row. So
100%.
Absolutely. But speaking of which, too, obviously there's research that has to go into these game nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing a new theme night.
Yep.
We had to go see the haunt ourselves, right? But James not into scary things at all. James is terrified, right? And so that firsthand research led to some very comical events that evening. And James had to take his bravery.
I went with some of your friends, and I think I may have caused some bruises on them. I apologize. But it was no.
Yeah, talking about the costumes, we got to put James in. Maybe we can get him to dress up a little scary on that.
So
game night.
so what's the one thing that is number one on your list that you're just terrified of?
I think it's more so just the clowns.
I think it's
clowns.
I heard him say that the other day. Clowns.
Like, I mean, this is not haunted rated, but I also am very scared of like worms too. So if you ever put a worm by me, I'm out that door. I watched.
remember.
Good to know.
Live bait
Good
sitting on James' desk.
Good to know.
You must,
Like,
you must have to have someone on the Steamwiller staff that's scared of clowns. We had one
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
our old ticket manager, and he was terrified of clowns. And I can't remember where we were, but it was like some promotion. This clown walked around the corner, and we didn't even know it.
right.
And all of a sudden, he just
Gone.
skated.
Gone.
Like,
I think there's gonna be some fun content then coming out around that
mean,
Halloween night game.
for me,
with
as
all
I
the
know, who,
scaring.
if I know who they are, I'll be fine. But if I don't know who the heck you are and you're coming up to me, see you later.
Right? Yeah, James' kids in the future won't have any clown parties or anything.
No.
So,
No,
Say that's the motivation to get you move faster on a game day. Then just stick a clown on you.
I already moved fast.
Yeah, I was
enough.
gonna say you're always gone.
I know a couple of times, like during the game, I would say like 3 or 4 times, I look at James and I tell him, take a breath.
Yo.
You know, because we always say this to each other, like the game's always going to happen.
Oh yeah,
So whatever we can do to like plan it. I mean,
we
You could
we
probably
used to be
speak
we used
on
to be
it.
that way. And,
Yeah, you
and
could
you know,
probably
and I
speak on
worked
it.
with my brother, so there was that brotherly
Oh,
love
yeah.
there
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And
Oh,
there were
yeah.
times where it's like we would just yell at each other, and it's like because we were brothers,
right.
you know. But that's the thing is we would get so worked up over the littlest thing that went wrong.
Yep.
And then you look in the stands, and it's like no one knows
Yep.
that this just happened.
Yeah, we
You know?
talk about that a lot. Like
yeah, the
we talked
fan
about,
facing.
Yeah, we
stuff.
talked
Yeah.
about it even last night. Like we did our deckmate media shoot, and we talked about it in the sense of like, as long as they had a good time with the media day and we got what we needed, you know, because you know we're trying to like be
Yeah.
so particular about how this is gonna work, and you know, as long as at that time it was the deckmates, and as long as they didn't feel like it was a bleep show,
Mhm.
you know, type of thing, you know, like we got what we needed and we moved on. We succeeded. I think Macklin can speak on that, like how he feels on a game day. Like, yeah, you might feel like you're not in control of this, but it's like it's a football game. You're not in control of everything in
No.
football,
No.
and so like you want to control this and this and this, but like you're doing a great job, like from us, because that's what we have to do. Like,
Yeah.
not only do we have to tell him to breathe, but we have to tell him, Macklin, you're doing a great job. Like,
Yep.
I mean, there were times, and you know, we were always small staffed. You guys, I mean, deal with the same thing,
yeah,
you know, and there were games where, you know, it's time for the T-shirt cannon.
yeah.
Yep.
Everyone
And guess
loves,
what?
everyone loves
No
t-shirt.
one decided to go refill the canisters of CM2.
Right?
You know, so it's like, okay, looks like we're throwing
We're
them out.
throwing these bad boys.
Deckmates, let's go.
Yep.
That's typically that's one of our
And
promotions.
That's one
is
of our
with
promotions.
classical,
We do
so-
that. We want to get the deckmates involved. Just
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
they're dancing and they're working
Yeah.
hard, and so like we get them in time on some of the promos.
Yeah.
So we do the classical graphics T-shirt toss. Classical graphics has been a great partner
Yeah.
working with us. You know, doing all our merch for the
March
last
8th, we have our kickoff party with them.
Yeah.
So it's definitely gonna be something a little different. Free food there,
Yeah.
different merchandise that we're gonna have there.
Yeah,
Stone
new
Cold,
merchandise.
Yep.
Stone Cold Joe Crawl, he might have something of his
Yeah.
own.
Up his sleeve there.
Up
A
his
little
sleeve.
exciting new design.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something to come out and enjoy. So
Yeah.
Is there
Pennants.
a new merchandise item that you're stoked about?
I like
Stone
pennants.
Cold.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about the pennants.
Pennants?
So we're gonna have like like your normal 20, 36, whatever.
Yeah.
Pennant. And so I'm excited about that. And you know, working with Mitch and Derek to design that has been an exciting process. Kind of like pushing out 3 designs and kind of getting feedback on those 2, and then working together. You know, they've been a great partner, and you know, they working together to create the stuff. You know, not just sending them stuff and being like create that, or them just like making all the designs and we kind of have to approve it. It's working together on that, and I think that's how we come up with all these great merchandise. I know.
Yeah.
What's your what are you excited about?
Honestly, I think Derek's been hard at work on the boat design there.
boat
and
design,
that's,
yeah.
I think I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, we're kind of have a front facing boat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, one of the cooler things for me is I'm so used to obviously working with Dustin directly here. So to have another creative come in and
Yeah.
give like a new touch and taste to it.
He's a nerd.
Yeah.
He's
Oh
a
yeah, they
nerd.
nerd out, and it's the coolest thing in the world watching them kind of get their creative flow together and
Yeah.
just piece the puzzle together to bring the fans, you know, the best possible apparel that we
he
can.
definitely
So,
works very hard on it.
cool event too, because like
Yeah.
we've never done anything like that before, where we're actually opening it up to the public. So you don't have to be a season ticket holder. no special rights to it.
Yeah,
Just
and
come on out.
we've
and
never done
enjoy
a
it.
camp, like a camp roster
Yeah.
meet, because like we've done the full roster meet, like the final roster meet, but we bring in, final roster is around 25. We bring in 40 guys into camp, and so getting to meet those guys and kind of use that experience, give them that experience, even though
it gives you the opportunity to also
yet.
help.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like it gives you the opportunity to help pick, like for yourself, who's gonna make the team. Like okay,
you give them
this guy makes the team.
Yeah, you give them the benefit of the doubt, like it's their first time, being the D3 NAI. Even some D2 D1 kids have never had that experience, but using that, like, how's that guy interacting with fans? Because all our fans kind of show up to those events.
Yeah.
Welcome to Inside the Headset. I am Ron Luce, color commentator for your Quad City Steamwheelers. I am joined by the legendary voice of Vibrant Arena at the Mark, Mr. Kasey Keller. Kasey, we're here for our first segment of the season Inside the Headset as part of the Wheel Talk podcast. I know I'm excited. I know you're excited. How are you doing today? And
oh man, I am so ready for the season to start. This will tide me over till we're ready to go, but we're inching closer day by day, and I cannot wait.
We can almost confirm that it is March. We are this close to when we are talking here.
There.
We are this close, almost March, and we're really only about 3 weeks away from the home opener against the Green Bay Blizzard. It's going to be exciting. Kasey, we're here today, though, to talk about the offense, and that's what our focus is going to be on this first Inside the Headset segment of ours for the season. We will be back probably post-camp then to talk a little bit more about the defense. It'll be a great opportunity to talk about some of the rule changes that have happened in the IFL and how guys are seeing that kind of affect their their play even during training camp when those are applied during some of the scrimmages and teamwork and things like that. But for the time being, we're going to go position by position. And of course, we have to start with the signal callers, the guys under center or in the gun, depending on what Cory wants them to do. It's a different looking quarterback room this year, Kasey. Instead of Judd Erickson, Mike Irwin from a season ago, it's the 2019 IFL MVP in Daquan Neal. And he is backed up, potentially backed up. It's going to be a heck of a competition by Demry Croft, who was a 2021 all-rookie team member for the IFL. Two very different quarterbacks than a season ago in terms of skill sets and what they bring, especially from an IFL experience standpoint. What are your kind of initial reactions about this group? And I mean, the excitement level's got to be high, right?
Oh, I mean, when we first saw the post of us getting Daquan Neal, I was like, holy cow, this is going to be quite the season. I know I've talked to Wheeler Nation. They're excited for that signing as well. A lot of people are like, how did we get that signing? But you know what? We're Squad City. We love our players. We're a family. So I'm super excited for both these quarterbacks. I think, it's going to give us some competition in the quarterback room. So it's going to be exciting for sure.
Definitely. And I think the biggest change, at least just from the outside looking in, you look at these guys' past numbers and their work within the IFL, even dating back in a case like with Demry Croft to his time in college. These guys are both runners. They have that ability to use their feet, probably more so than even what we saw, although there was a lot of great highlights of Mike and Judd taking off for first downs and even touchdowns from the 2024 season. But these guys are notable runners. Daquan Neal has finished top 5 in the league in rushing before. Demry Croft has a ton of ability there as well. He had a great a season in terms of statistics in that 2021 all-rookie campaign. That's got to bring a different feel to the room. And I think it brings, at least for me, Kasey, a different kind of mindset of how the offense is going to operate, because now it's not just Edward Vander or your tailback in general as the primary running threat. There are so many ways that they can dissect the defense now because of these guys' ability with their feet.
Exactly. It was a big loss to see, that Vander left us, but seeing these two mobile quarterbacks, kind of alleviated, the scariness of not having, a name running back, but having mobile quarterbacks definitely it definitely is going to help us out, and we're kind of used to that, back when we had EJ, he was a mobile
Sure.
quarterback as well. So I think the fans, they like a mobile quarterback for sure.
And I think even making the argument too, we can flip it on the side of the other teams that we've seen roll through the Quad Cities, right? We saw TJ Edwards a year ago come through with Frisco and what he can do with his feet, although the defense for Quad City did a great job kind of neutralizing his ability to take off and run. But we've seen the mobile guys, right? Max Myler's that way up in Green Bay. He can take off and run. It just adds such a dynamic addition really to the offense. And what teams can, what the Quad City Steamwheelers can now throw at teams when they are building an offensive game plan under Cory Ross and team on the coaching side. Just a quick couple notable things. We mentioned the 2019 IFL MVP for a guy like DeQuan Neal. A season ago, he had a really good year with the Bay Area Panthers. The season before that with the Vegas Nighthawks. So again, he has been around. This guy has tons of experience. He knows what it's like to play in the IFL and have a lot of success as well. Demery Croft, probably his most notable success was that rookie season with Tucson. He has bounced around a little bit, has some time with Duke City, with San Diego, and even with Arizona, but most of it spent in that Western Conference. So this will be his first real taste of kind of the Eastern Conference IFL, which it's kind of funny that the conferences do kind of play a little differently in comparison from West to East. And it'll be interesting to see how both of these guys kind of acclimate themselves. DeQuan Neal was a part of the Iowa Barnstormers when he won that MVP back in 2019, but over the last few years has spent most of his time on the West Coast.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see them kind of adapt to the different conference play style for sure.
Indeed. And again, I think the expectation, again, this is us from the outside looking in, is that DeQuan Neal's probably going to be the starter. But I think Demery Croft absolutely is going to push him. And because of their similarities in terms of style, I think that's going to allow Cory Ross and team to have very similar game plans, no matter who's under center, whether it's due to performance, whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to whatever that can happen in the sport of football over the course of the season. Having two guys that can probably run the same offense is going to be really beneficial for the team. But Kasey, when we're on the topic of these guys being able to move and run the football, you got to still be able to appreciate a good tailback. And there's three guys in that room right now. Obviously, camp is still on the horizon, and who's going to kind of shake out to get those primary carries. But three names that we're keeping an eye on. One is a returner from last season. That's where I kind of want to start. Eichten Bianchi. This was a guy who was listed as an athlete on the roster a season ago. Unfortunately, he dealt with a lot of injuries throughout the season, wasn't always active. But when he was on the field, I think everybody remembers that electric kickoff return where he was able to really show that 4.2 speed that he has. What do you think about him being listed fully as a running back now and how he can be used in the offense?
I'm excited. I was super pumped when he had that kick return. Eichten, he's got wheels. He can move. If he gets in the open field, he's gone. And I'm super excited to see more of him this season, because like you said, he spent most of last season on the reserve list. So I'm excited to see what he can do for us this season.
Absolutely. I think the first thing that comes to my mind with his speed is getting him involved in the screen game. We saw a lot of success for the Wheelers a year ago with getting guys like Edward Vander and even the receivers involved in the screen game. Obviously, for the football nerds out there, screen game is an extension of the run game. And I think that's a great way to get a guy like Eichten Bianchi involved. Get him in space, allow him to use that speed and really become a threat then to other teams that they have to respect and worry about. But another guy they're going to have to respect and worry about, Gerard Ware Jr. He's got 2 prior seasons of IFL experience. A year ago, he was with Tulsa. So some fans that attended that Tulsa Oilers game might recall that name. It might sound a little familiar. A Whitewater product, had a really good collegiate career at the Division III level, and he's put up some pretty impressive numbers in the IFL. And then a newcomer in Gino Appleberry, Atlanta native. He's a fresh face to the IFL. So these are the other 2 names that teams are going to have to worry about. How do you approach, Kasey, when you're kind of looking at the roster early on? And we all kind of have our preconceived notions of what we're thinking this team could look like early in the season. What do you think hearing a guy like Gerard Ware coming into town, obviously with the IFL experience already, but then having a newcomer like Appleberry also in that room with the other tailbacks?
Well, I think the thing, that we really kind of specialize here in Squad City is, we do great with IFL vets. We also do great with rookies. That's one thing that Coach Ross is excellent at, is if you're a rookie and new to the indoor game, he's great at teaching you, and by mid-season they're rolling right along. So it's exciting to see some vets in the running back field, and also exciting to see a newcomer, to see what he can do as well.
Definitely. And we all know that, Coach Ross has that kind of everybody eats mentality on offense. He has no problem going to guys that are second or third string on the roster, looking to them to make plays and be an active part of the offense. So I think that's what makes all these kind of position battles, in a sense, really exciting on the offensive side, is because we really could see every single one of these guys on the field at some point in the season. And transitioning a little bit from the ground game to the air game, right? Because everybody loves arena because it's fast and the quick passes that turn into touchdowns. We have to appreciate the pass catchers. And this is a very different looking receiver room than a year ago. It was a very veteran laden room from last season. Gerard Harrington, obviously Kevin Rudd, and you had, Raheem Harvey and names like that in the room. You still had some young guys as well, guys like Karan Ashley and others. Completely different looking room for the most part. 2 returners, though. And these guys are the guys that everybody's going to know. We're going to talk about them first. The Rocktown legend himself, Jordan VC, returns for another season with the Quad City Steamwheelers. And then, of course, he's Quad City royalty at this point. But Kevin Rudd is back. He is back wearing number 13 in the blue, red, and gold. Kasey, these guys are going to be important to the team, obviously, from that success that they saw a year ago, making a playoff appearance, having a really good push. Had some things fallen one way or another, who knows how the playoffs could have shooken out. What do you think about these 2 guys coming back and kind of really being, maybe we'll call it the faces right now of that receiver room?
Well, it's always exciting, to have Stud back. Everybody loves Stud Rudd, and to have Mr. Sports Center top 10. I mean, he can go up and get him just as much as Kevin can. So it'd be nice to have those 2 vets, but in the same sense, just like with the running back room, exciting to see new faces as well.
Indeed, and there are a lot of new faces and a couple of guys who are IFL veterans that are coming in. So this is not a completely rookie-laden room, so to speak, for the Quad City Steamwheelers this year. Devonair Concliffe, who was signed very early on. I think a lot of people almost forget that he was signed because he was one of the first additions to the roster when the team was beginning to be built back in October. But he's very interesting because not only is he huge, he's 6'2", 240 is what his playing weight is listed at. But he's also, if you watch the tape, he's kind of that running and receiving kind of dual threat player that we've seen a lot of in the IFL. Because of the double motion, guys can come and take the handoffs out of the gun. To me, he is the premier guy that's going to be able to come in and kind of take over that role. And again, the size is something that I don't think I've seen in football, a guy that's a receiver weighing anything more than maybe 220. So seeing a guy listed at 6'2", 240 is pretty impressive.
That's a big receiver for sure.
It's a big boy. Again, another big target for these quarterbacks to throw at. Obviously, we know what Stud Rudd brings. VC has good size as well. You add Concliffe to that note as well. And then Terrell Calvin is the other name. He spent some time with Tulsa a year ago. He was, I believe, in camp with Vegas before making his way to the Oilers a season ago. This is another guy. He's got really good speed. He's got strong hands. He's a solid route runner. He had a really good game against the Wheelers at Vibrant Arena at the Mark last season. And again, another guy with good size, 6 feet, 185, and he's got that IFL experience. I mean, again, you're kind of getting a taste of a little bit of everything already with these IFL vets. And like you said, Kasey, we haven't even gotten to the other names yet.
Exactly. I mean, it's nice to see all of these big receivers, because just like I'm a Chiefs fan, so when we started getting other players besides Kelsey, it was nice seeing people having to respect them as well. So to be able to have all of these bigger receivers and then not knowing, have our quarterbacks throw it up, big boys go up and get it.
And having the big boys is important, but it's also important to have kind of some of those small shifty guys that can operate out of the slot. We saw a lot of those guys last season. Obviously, Harrington was a big part of that for the Wheelers in 2024, as was Warren Newman, who is right now on league IR as we speak. but they've brought in a few new faces. Davion Johnson, he's a smaller, shifty receiver, is listed at 5'9", about 185. He's coming straight out of college as well. Dion McShane, who's out of Northern Iowa, so kind of a little bit of a local guy. He's not too far away. And ironically, his younger brother actually played at my alma mater. So there's a little bit of a connection there with the McShane family. But this guy also returned kicks in college. So that's something that can certainly translate over with potentially a guy like Easton Bianchi, who we've already mentioned. And then Kajan Batiste, he's a little different. Big guy again, 6'3". His highlight film is laden with jump balls. But I'm really excited to watch the McShane Johnson kind of duo go at it after camp, because again, these guys are smaller. They're more maybe your prototypical slot receivers, really at any level, let alone in the indoor game. How do you think they're going to get used? Do you think a Warren Newman like role for these guys from a season ago is possible, or do you think maybe Cory's got something up his sleeve for some of these guys to maybe give a different wrinkle to the offense?
Well, like you mentioned before, Coach Ross, he's a everybody eat style coach. So, it's exciting to think what he might be able to do, what he might have, tucked up his sleeve, so to speak. So it's exciting to think about for sure.
Absolutely. And again, I think with this receiver room, because those are all the names that we have so far, it's a little bit of everything, right? You get the guys that are bigger and probably are more of those traditional jump ball receivers, guys that are going to work the perimeter on the wall, be able to go up for it in the back corner of the end zone. You got the guys that can kind of work the intermediate. They're a little bit bigger, but they're still really good route runners, the Calvins and the VCs of the world. And then you got some of these smaller scat guys who maybe you get a little creative with them. You move them around in the screen game. Maybe you move them around a little bit and just quick dump off passes and let them use that shiftiness in open field. So a really healthy group in terms of everybody brings a little bit of different kind of taste to the table, so to speak, and what this receiver room has to say. But none of this is possible, whether it's the quarterbacks, the running backs, or the receivers, without the big guys up front. We got to talk about the
big
Hogs
boys up front.
Got to talk about those guys. A couple of familiar names from a season ago, but a couple of new names as well. And I think maybe, at least in my opinion, what's most impressive, Kasey, is every single one of the guys right now that's entering camp has at least had a cup of coffee in the IFL. Maybe haven't seen a ton of game action, but at least a little bit. And that says a lot when you can bring in guys with multiple years of indoor experience to the fold. The most notable name, of course, is our version of Stone Cold. Mr. Joe Crawl is back for another season.
Oh, yeah.
One of your captains from a season ago, getting him back in the fold. I mean, Kasey, were you as excited as I was seeing that Joe was coming back for another season in the Quad Cities?
Absolutely. I was, I love my boy Joe. He is Stone Cold personified. And I was, as soon as they put out that he re-signed, my immediate reaction was, what kind of celebration are we going to see from him this year?
Absolutely. He's the best. He's an absolute beauty. I think anybody that's gotten a chance to talk to him knows that. And it's going to be a huge addition. Again, a locker room guy, a glue guy. You need those guys in the room. They're just as important as your big playmakers at the end of the day. And again, this is a guy who was invited to a UFL camp. This is a guy that is a very top-notch player, despite coming from the Division III level. It just shows that you got playmakers at every single level in college football. And Joe Crawl, certainly a big guy to have back. I'm most curious, Kasey, I don't know about you, whether he's going to be a center or a guard this year, because we got to see him play a little bit of both a year ago. He started at center to begin the season, and then with some additions throughout the course of the year, he was bumped back over to guard, where he played a lot earlier in his years with the Steamwheelers. So kind of intrigued to see how that shakes out for him. But again, having a guy that can play all three spots on the line is uber critical in a sport like the Indoor Football League.
Absolutely. And him, being a vet and being able to be both center and guard, it's great to have a versatile player for sure.
Definitely. And from there, another familiar face, maybe a guy that I think really surprised a lot of people, because a lot of people just didn't know a lot about him with it being his first year of IFL experience, but Ivory Scott Jr. is back. He was a huge piece of that offensive line from a season ago, a huge piece of what they were able to do in the run game and the pass game and everything in between. He's a mauler. He's a mean MFer. That's the guy he's going to probably play at one of the guard spots. I don't think he's going to be a center, but another big addition to have back in that room as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said earlier, we got to have the big boys up front. It all starts with them, and having two people back that know what Coach Ross does is vital for sure.
Definitely. And kind of even rolling from there, a guy who didn't have a ton of time with the Wheelers from a season ago, but is back for this year's camp, is Chiron Rogers. He was around early in the season, unfortunately had to leave the team. No questions about character or anything like that, just personal life things that happen for a lot of these guys in the IFL. He's back. I think he's the most intriguing name to watch because we didn't get to see a lot of him a season ago, but he's a name that for, especially the diehards that are at every game and pay attention to the roster throughout the course of the season, it's a name that rings a bell and is a little bit familiar. He's back in the fold, and I'm sure he's out to prove something in this year's camp.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When I was reading the notes and everything, and I recognized the name, and it took me a minute, but he did have a little bit of time with us. Great to have him back, to kind of, prove himself a little bit, He had to step away. So it's kind of nice to have his comeback.
Absolutely. And I think too, like I think back and recall him, he was a part of that starting offensive line on opening night against Sioux Falls. It was him, it was Ivory Scott, it was Joe Kroll, and it led to a win and a huge victory at that. Obviously, I think everybody can remember. Kasey, we were really truly spoiled last year with just banger after banger of a home game. And it all started off with an overtime pick to seal it from Trey. I mean, an incredible win, but again, a guy that I think back and say, hey, we got to see a little bit of him. He's going to be a guy that I think a lot of us are going to want to keep an eye on this year. But the other two additions, Kasey, Tyrone Chambers comes over in trade from Iowa. Paul Fay heads to Iowa as a result of that, who was with the team a season ago. He comes in. He had 2 seasons in Iowa. Just another big, huge guy that they're going to add into the fold. And then from there, in the most recent offensive line addition is Tyrone Patterson. He was acquired in trade with Jacksonville. Karan Ashley going to Jacksonville as a part of that move and ultimately signing with the Sharks. But he's a big boy, 6'3", 310 pounds. So not only are the new additions guys with IFL experience, but Kasey, these are some big dudes that are kind of going to swallow up your tiny little running backs in the backfield. It's going to be hard to see those guys when they get the football behind that big line.
Oh, for sure. They're just gonna have to, sneak down in between. As soon as they see a hole, pop right through.
Yeah, let the running back make you right, big boys. Just maul and do your job. It's certainly gonna be something intriguing to see, and something that we'll touch on later in more depth about on the defensive side. But again, this D line being able to run stunts, that's a new wrinkle into the league this year. I think that's going to be able to propel the run game even further because you run a stunt at the wrong time, and all of a sudden there's a hole that probably wasn't meant to be there where, an Appleberry, a Ware, or even an Easton Bianchi could take advantage of that. And if you're popping off 5-6 yards of carry in the indoor game, it's going to be a long day for that defense on the other side. Kasey, my last thought in terms of the offensive preview here is there are some guys that had big impacts on this team from a season ago that are no longer here, whether it's moving on entirely and finding a new home in the IFL, maybe just moving on in general and still kind of being an indoor free agent of sorts, or guys who just simply, we just don't know where they're at. But overall, how do you feel about this offensive group? Because there's a lot of change, but there's still some familiar faces. How do you think that's all going to blend in order to make one united team come March 21st when they open against Green Bay?
Well, I know, Wheeler Nation, I've been with the team since coming back, and I know that Wheeler Nation, they like the familiarity for sure. So they like, but seeing all of the talent that we potentially have on offense is so exciting. And to be able to have all of the moving parts and just to see how Coach Ross makes that puzzle fit together is intriguing and exciting for sure.
Indeed. And I think at the end of the day too, big props to Coach Ross and team for the amount of talent that has been accumulated on this group, whether it's new guys who bring a different element to the team and add a unique skill set, indoor football league veterans who are guys that are just coming from new teams that can make an impact that way. And certainly, again, some very familiar faces that I think everybody can agree were big pieces of a team that, again, just a season ago and even the year before that were playoff contenders and had an opportunity at the end of the day to try and win a national title. And that's what really matters for Coach Ross and team. We're going to get to talk to Coach Ross, and that's coming up here next on Inside the Headset.
Awesome.
And now we are welcoming in Coach Cory Ross of your Quad City Steamwhalers, signed back on for another year in the Quad Cities. Coach, we're excited to have you. How are you doing? And what's the excitement level like going into the season?
I'm doing good, man. Excited. Obviously, it gets more exciting as we're about a couple of days out before guys report, and then we get to have the fun that the NFL got to have, right? So I think after the Super Bowl, you look forward into those next 20 or 30 days because our season's right around the corner, and the expectations for our guys is to show up in shape, ready to go, and excited just to see what we have and who we will build upon.
I know we share in that excitement with you guys as well. I think the term that we've all been throwing around amongst each other when we all get to talk is it March yet? And we're dangerously close. So I know we're all excited as well. And we got some good questions here for you today. And I think the one that I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about is kind of on the structure of the team. We just previewed the offense. What you guys are bringing in on the offensive side of the football this year. It's a great mix. You guys have done an incredible job building this roster. What role will those returning veterans, so guys like Kevin Rudd, guys like Joe Crawl, guys like Jordan Vesey, what are those guys going to have what's their role going to be? And what's the expectation for them this season? Are those guys de facto leaders entering camp? Or are those guys that, yeah, maybe you're looking to become leaders, but it's really kind of an open book in terms of who's going to be able to step up and kind of captain effectively the team going into the season?
I think our guys, anybody who's played with me, as long as some of these guys have, they know the expectation is to make the team. There's no given factor that you played for me or been here on this roster that you were going to be an automatic stick, and that's who it's always been. I bring in guys, and I treat this like it's a business, and how it's always been. That's whether you're at this level, the next level, next level. You're always going to bring in somebody to replace the other guy, and that's what these opportunities give a lot of these players to come in. So I think for me, vets just need to be vets. Okay, they need to come in shape and show that they still have it. They still have the ability to do the things that they've always been able to do. And then once they do that and prove that, then it's also time to become a leader and show these guys the ropes. Okay, how to be a professional, because these guys you talk about, Crawl, Rudd, VC, Duncan has been in this league for 5 or so, or I wouldn't say VC's going into a second year, but you're talking about Rudd, Duncan, and Crawl, three or 4 years among those guys a piece or more. So they kind of have an idea. They kind of been kind of a face of this franchise, so they kind of know what to expect. But they know when it comes for me is I better make sure I do my job come training camp, or I might not be here either. As long as we keep having that approach, I think our teams become who they become, our leaders become who they become, and we end up building the type of team we want to build.
Awesome. And Coach, with a very different look style-wise to the quarterback room entering the 2025 season, how does that influence your game plans and play calling? And will it force a heavy change to what fans saw in 2024?
I think you just see the change in the athlete that'll be at that position. I had an approach last year of more so looking for a guy to distribute, looking for a guy to have a pocket presence back there. And with the 2 quarterbacks that we had last year, they were just that. They were outdoor stand-up quarterbacks looking to distribute. But in this game, you also learn as a coordinator that being able to have an ability to run from that quarterback position hinders the defense a little bit more, and we lacked a little bit of that, but we had some ability to make some of those things happen in some games where you saw when those guys did decide to run, it made for a fun game. Well, with these 2 quarterbacks that are coming in, and we're also looking for one more third one to come in, hopefully with this tryout this coming up weekend. we are looking for a guy that can make plays with his feet and the arms, distribute and make great decisions. And with the two guys for sure that both have IFL experience, you have those guys coming in camp. You kind of know that they know exactly what this league's about. They know the ins and outs about the field feels like and where they can make throws and also what type of defenses they'll be going against. Nothing really changes from that point. So those guys are going to be exciting. I think they're going to make a lot of plays with their feet, and I think they're going to fall in love with this offense if they haven't already with the meetings we've been having.
Incredible stuff. Coach Ross, thank you so much for joining us here today. This wraps our first Inside the Headset segment of 2025 as a part of the Wheel Talk podcast. We covered the offense today. The next time you hear from us, it will be all defense. From the great PA voice, Kasey Keller, I am color commentator, Mr. Ron Luce. We're going to send it back to our friends over in the Planet 93.9 studio. Destiny, James, Dustin, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, Kasey and Ron. I mean, that was a pretty cool segment, and we're back here at the Planet 93.9 studio for the rest of the Wheel Talk podcast. That was pretty cool, talking about like getting really in depth with the offense, and like Cory's talking about how like having those two new kind of quarterbacks, a different look at quarterback, is how that will look going into 2025.
I think everyone's pretty pumped about the quarterback position this season and coming in with some vet presence in that space and see what they can do.
I'm excited about the running backs. That's what I want to see. I was a running back in college. Obviously, Cory was a running back. We're Nebraska and then Baltimore Ravens. So.
The running back in Cory's offense will always eat.
Oh yeah, they're always going to eat. Vander did it last year. Maybe Appleberry or Jared Ware may. Yeah,
they're both athletes.
So I mean, they're both gonna kick some tail,
kick
I guess.
Bleep. Yep.
Yeah, kick bleep.
Who's kind of the exciting one to watch at receiver? Because that was always my favorite.
I think we got a stacked room at receiver. Honestly, I mean, I'm looking at some of the film. Obviously, it's a little hard to like look at the outside because you have more room to move at the receiver position. But I think a lot of guys translate pretty well into it. But like, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to see what Jordan Vesey does in his second year. The Rock Island native. You know, he missed a couple games here and there with injury. Or just for that certain week, like the look wasn't right, and I know he took that
Center top 10.
Yeah, he took that on the shoulder, and Sports Center top 10.
He's on our billboard this year. I mean, right by
James. You had a Sports Center top 10, right?
No,
right?
I wish.
Yeah, I was gonna
we
say,
all wish, man.
Yeah, so if you're driving down Kimberly, heading west on Kimberly, you'll see Jordan Vesey. Yep, Jordan Vesey is on a big old billboard, and it kind of says "Earn your stacks," correct?
Yeah.
Earn your stacks is kind of the slogan.
And that's what some of our tryout guys have done for this year. I mean, we just had it last week or so.
Yeah.
And they definitely.
Yeah, it was a good show out. I know Cory, all the coaches were pretty excited. I mean, we had the interns there, and they were pretty excited to like. Finally get football going. Like they come in like 2 months ahead of the season, and it's like, we have a game. We have a game coming up. Like you're feeling like you're working, but it's like that's why we're getting into season. It's like we have a game, we move on to the next week. Have a game, move on to the next week. But like in the off season, it's a little hard to like.
It's one of the things that I dread is the first game. That truly is the worst. Right. It's not the worst day. It's the best day, but the worst day because there's so much high level stress, but after that first game,
it gets into flow state.
Darn, like this is easy peasy.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so smooth sailing.
And like Destiny, who like going into that first game, like receivers, and like going into camp, even like receivers. Who are you excited about?
I think my favorite thing personally is watching the one-on-ones. I don't think I have a favorite. I can't have a favorite, right? Because then I get attached to these guys, and then coach wants to sit down in the war room.
From the GM level, you can't have a favorite.
I can't.
You can't have a favorite.
Can't.
Now, it's definitely something we've struggled with in the past. That's for sure.
Yeah,
we've all had our favorites. We've all hated certain guys, disliked certain guys.
I think that's a James thing, but
as long as we
it's an everybody.
I guess that's the cool part. I was gonna say, I think just James does make a good point, right? You come in and you have these guys come in and you don't know them from Adam. Some guys coming back, some to fight for their spot, and then these newcomers, and it's like, okay, you get a little territorial at points where you're like, oh, this is the guy, and then you're like, who's this? He just mossed him over there, and what just happened? What did I just witness?
Yep.
Because it's absolutely insane.
And Cory kind of keeps that mindset, like going in this camp, like
Yeah.
no one's safe, like something.
And
like,
that's
that's why
big
we
this
do
year.
1 year contracts.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about the IFL, like with the 1 year contracts, like you have to make the team every year. Like it's not like a 3 year contract. You know, you go in the off season, you relax, feet up on the couch type thing.
Yeah.
And every year, like these guys know they have to come in. Like
They're
in shape.
stressing about having to get
Yeah.
re-signed
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think one of the cool things too is, again, personally, like you see a guy coming back, so you got a DB potentially, and kind of that same situation where it's like you kind of have that connection to him, but then you watch a new guy come in and just do something that's outstanding, and you're like, oh, that's what I want to see. Like that's the type of talent you want to see, and regardless of who they are and where they've been, and if they've been here or if they haven't, like to come in and make yourself a Wheeler this year. Like no one's safe. It's
no one is safe.
Come in, earn your stacks, and let's go get a championship. And that's the motto.
Yeah, and
Love
like
it.
we spoke on the receiver side, and I know Macklin wants to speak on this. Coming as a running back, he enjoys his boys up front, and I know we got a couple returners at that position.
yeah, I mean, Ivory Scott, I personally think I know there's nobody's safe.
Snub for first team All IFL
Yeah,
last
snub
year.
for
I will say.
first team
Yep.
All IFL. I mean, nobody's safe, but he definitely is one that is pretty darn
Excited
good.
to see him take that
Excited
next
to see
step.
how he's gonna do in the indoor game, because obviously for linemen it's probably the most difficult to switch from outdoor to indoor.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know Joe's talked about it. Joe's returning this year, and he's talked about you feel like you're in an insane asylum. You're inside padded walls. You're going head to head with this guy for an hour, and there's not so much room that way. There's not so much room that way. You're in your lane working with that guy. And I know they're going to have a little bit tough time with the rule changes this year. I know they can do twists now. So like the defensive linemen can,
but
they used to have to
they are
rush straight.
used to that. They've been used to
that
that
is what they're
in
used to.
college.
And I think
so
that's where
it's okay. I
being
mean,
the
they'll
rookie.
be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's
Hopefully.
where being a rookie, like a couple of the rookies that we have coming in for
Mhm.
on the offensive line, they may have that upper hand.
Yeah.
They're coming straight from where the defensive line's allowed to do anything. They're allowed to blitz, on your A gap, your B gap type of thing. And so they're they might be a little more accustomed to that, and that's just something everyone's going to struggle with. You get comfortable with the way your game plays, and introducing new
And
things.
definitely linemen are the ones where if they aren't protected, or if they're not protecting the quarterback, we're not going to be able to score points. So a lineman is the most valuable position. So to be able to have, I truly believe we have 5 to 6 starters on our training camp roster.
Yeah, we
this
have
year.
some
So
pretty
we'll
big dogs.
we'll definitely be able to be comfortable with the linemen this
Comfortable.
year. So
I know last
we'll
year
see a lot
From
more
a couple
scoring.
of
I think even looking,
Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think
My
even
boys are beat up.
even looking into the stats last year, I know we were like bottom 5 in like allowed sacks, and having 2 more pocket type of guys last year with Mike Irwin, who did a great job. Judd did a great job, and we're great. We keep that relationship with those guys. Those guys are they came in, did their job to the best ability, and they're great guys. Yeah. And
definitely prayers up to Judd, as we know he unfortunately
was
has
diagnosed with cancer,
Yep.
and so we've kind of been talking with him, keeping that relationship with him, because he came in, he was a gentleman. He was a leader,
a great guy. That's
a
for
leader
sure.
when he came in.
I think it goes back into the Wheeler family that you create. It doesn't matter if you suited up for 2 games, 5 games, 5 years. I mean, at the end of the day, you're
part of the Wheeler
you're
family.
part of the family.
I know we've had guys that like came in, for 3 games at the end of the season who we're still good friends with. I know we had Draco Statham came up last year, and like getting to meet him, like hearing good stories about him, because he's been kind of around the arenas for a little while.
I mean, Bubba came in.
Bubba came in late,
Yeah.
I mean, he's coming back, and he's obviously, we were talking about the offense.
Yeah,
but,
we can talk about Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba's-
Who doesn't love
Bubba's
Bubba?
Bubba.
Hubba.
That's the sponsorship we need to get now.
Yeah.
Right.
Bubba.
I know he was a strongman. He was strongman for the John Deere night.
Yep.
And
I mean, he had some big hits there too.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I could make a highlight clip
Yeah.
of 4 games with Bubba's hits. And I know when he did that strongman, Sandy was like, it was, he's a new player. And so like Sandy was like, I want his jersey. Like I like how he plays football.
Yep.
And so she ended up buying his John Deere night jersey. And
then we're definitely going to be hearing a lot of Planet 93.9 big hits. It's out of this world.
Yeah, it might turn into the Bubba big hit.
Yeah. It might be the Bubba big hit. So it might be the Bubba big hit by the end of the year. So
yeah. And I'm excited for like even this partnership 93.9 and how this will like turn into this whole season. Obviously, we're going to have 8 episodes. Megan Johnson will come and be the host for us. She does a great job, obviously being the MC of the Steamlers and also being a deckmate dancer.
MC of the Quad Cities.
Yeah, MC of the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
MC of the world.
She's
MC of our hearts.
She's definitely one of the great ones. She's very funny. Yes. She's very charismatic. I mean, she's probably one like the best MC.
Yeah, she's big time.
She's the only MC I've ever really had to work with, so I don't know anybody else besides her.
See, I'll give a little shout out to Bismarck.
Oh yeah,
right there. We had Jordan Black was our sales director, and then on game days he'd suit up with striped overalls,
yep,
and get on the mic and just turn into a whole different person. A whole different person on game day.
But the perfect.
I'm sorry, but Megan set the bar high. So
yeah.
I don't know. I've never met this guy. I don't think he's ever gonna beat Megan. I'm sorry.
I don't think we have anyone to compare Megan to in the future. I think Megan's gonna be sticking around.
Yeah, I think Megan's the bar, and I don't know how
it's pretty freaking high. It's even higher
from
than
the outside looking in. She does a fantastic job.
Oh yeah,
of the games that I've been to. So
I just want to know how one human can be so talented, like in anything that she does. I mean, this girl,
she has like
twirls
10 jobs.
fire too.
She has,
she twirls fire.
She wanted
dances.
to do it last year, but the arena kind of shut that down. Well, Destiny shut it down too.
It was a little
only because we had to. Trust me, if we could get her out there doing it, believe me, that'd be the halftime performance of the year.
Another thing
I used to sell insurance, so I could see why that was shut down.
Yeah.
Another thing for Megan to do on a game day.
But the turf is fire retardant. So just saying, it would have worked.
Blame Kevin.
Blame
Kevin.
I'm gonna blame Kevin, but I'm gonna say Destiny had to put the actual common sense in it.
Mr. Snodgrass?
Yes, we are.
Oh, love that guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to make hard choices, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
Not the ones we want to make, but
he can give you some good stories too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Trust me, believe me, we've had them. We've had them.
They definitely had to reel us back in a couple times. Obviously, Destiny has to do that a lot with Dustin and I.
Yeah, we're pretty creative and like coming up with random ideas here and there.
And then she just goes, you can tell by her face, like all of us have. I think I have the worst facial reactions ever, but you can definitely tell sometimes where like she doesn't want it, but she's just gonna let it happen, and then have us just learn.
We
by
get it
herself.
from her too, where she wants to do something.
Oh yeah,
and we are the ones that have to go actually.
We've had to do that a couple times
sometimes, and it's like. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see you want it, so I'm not gonna say we can't do it. Yeah. So we'll make it happen.
I think that's the cool thing about this group, though. Again, you're probably looking at one of the youngest staffs in the IFL in the front office.
Yeah, definitely don't fit the mold.
Yeah, definitely not your typical staff. But at the end of the day, I think that's what makes us and keeps us fresh, keeps us engaging, and keeps us current with what's going on. And I couldn't be more grateful to have these two, to work alongside. So
now,
some days you probably would never say that.
Just
saying.
They know I
love
talking
about young staff.
Yeah.
I see? Was it last year? Maybe last 2 years? You guys have won some awards for your staff.
Yeah, so
social media is the biggest.
We've probably gotten one every year. I think since we returned. I mean, even before then, you guys got the Community Relations Award. I know when we came back in 2022, we were the Franchise of the Year, which is I would say the second most prestigious award at the IFL level. Yeah. Obviously, John Pettit Person of the Year award is pretty up there.
Yep, and Doug
won that.
Doug won that last.
He's definitely gonna win. Executive of the Year this year.
He's pulling for that. I know he's pulling for that.
But he's been able to get a big sponsor for not only us, but also for the entire league too.
Yeah, I think the thing about Doug too is that type of leader. He is tenacious. He is hungry to continue to elevate and chase big dreams.
He's big into AI.
He's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he is an entrepreneur
through and through. And I know he's looking. He likes those awards, but I know he's gunning for the big one.
Yeah,
he wants the big one.
He's been telling us about
he's getting it
what he would do if that were to happen, and we're like, got to make it happen.
Yeah,
now. So
yeah.
I know
he's getting it this year.
Yeah, we also
we know he's getting it this year.
Yeah, we were the social media team of the year, and we've
Yep.
kind of been up for that award every season. And
That's awesome.
I really
And
enjoy
that's
doing
kudos
that.
to you, obviously.
Yeah, I
congrats.
really enjoy doing that.
That's
I have a
awesome.
great team of interns behind me. I mean, obviously this is the second with Veronica. She's been doing great. She's a go-getter.
Yep.
And like
She's talkative.
I
very
like-
talkative.
I like scrolling TikTok and whatnot, and I like making them every now and then, but I'm not like a go get a camera in someone's face, and Veronica takes that over, and she's a go get in someone's
I could never
face.
do that because that's just too embarrassing for me.
Well, think about it. The ones on the camera, and
Yeah.
they're pretty. They get
That's
pretty
why-
rosy cheek.
That's why I'm never on camera.
I was gonna say James
You don't
glows
see-
up.
You don't see pictures of me anywhere, anything like that. You will
Guess
not
what?
find me that
They're
stuff.
gonna see you on this podcast.
Oh,
Besides
yeah.
this podcast,
Yeah.
I know, but this is one of the first ones.
Hey,
and only one.
I'm normally not behind the camera or mic in this business anyway,
Nope.
so
And I know
you
that-
got me in here.
Yeah, I know.
I know they can come out and see you on March 21st. We have opening night. Presented by Midwest Bath. Darren's been a great partner, and that's going to be exciting. Obviously, we ended our season last year in Green Bay with the
And
round one.
We'll start it back up with them again. It's
And
Yeah.
Corey
They're gonna be
Roberson does a great job over there, and I always love this matchup because it's the matchup of the Corys. So
Yeah, Cory Ross, Cory
Mhm.
Roberson, and it's funny because like going like pregame, they're buddies.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
they're sitting there. Corey's got his shades on. Roberson's
Corey's trying to
over
be the
there trying to
Deion
get
Sanders
Corey to
of the
laugh.
IFL.
oh yeah,
And Corey can laugh every now and then. I remember the first time I met Corey, he was like, I thought he was like 28. Like the first time I met him, I was like, this guy's go excited, always
Corey's
like
older than dirt now.
always cracking jokes. And now I know Corey's prehistoric. So
yeah, oh yeah.
but you can come and see everyone out. I know March 21st we have opening night against the Green Bay Blizzard.
Yep, and we're gonna. Well, no, never mind. I cannot say that. I apologize. We will not say that.
We have a
person.
couple tricks under our sleeve for opening night, and you got to come see him. Come see Megan possibly twirl fire.
Oh gosh,
Possibly twirl some fire on game one.
Maybe Megan might be flying through the air this game.
You don't
we
know.
don't know.
you can definitely imagine Demeric up there though.
Yeah, where can people
Yeah.
get tickets for opening night?
Yeah, so you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster. Obviously,
Or
steamwillersfootball.com/tickets, of course.
It's
But-
Dustin's favorite link.
That is his
I
favorite
love to
thing
send
to
people
say.
the links. It's
Yes.
nice.
Yes, I'm so old school. I'm like, yeah, go to Ticketmaster,
Right.
find it there.
Or just go
Find
to the
everything
box
on
office because it's a lot cheaper just to
That
walk
is-
up to the box office.
Avoid
and
the
purchase
fees.
Tickets.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Walking
mean,
up.
You're
That's
almost.
an experience of itself. Going up to the box office and buying the ticket, walking away, and you're like, I got him in hand. Like Ticketmaster, scan.
I mean,
code. Like,
season-
where's the fun in
season
that?
tickets-
You get the ticket. You get to put it in
But
your
those
trophy
tickets,
case.
those tickets are not as not better than our season tickets. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
the
right.
season
Absolutely.
tickets are the most unique thing. I mean, all season ticket holders get 10% off.
Yeah.
Of like their merchandise. On
Free
top of
parking.
that, free parking.
Mhm.
They're gonna have different game day experiences as well
Yep.
this year that we are currently working on, and then obviously they get exclusive events that they're gonna go to. Dick's Sporting Goods on March 16th, from 1 to 3:30. They will be there. It's gonna be different this year. It's gonna be a little bit more unique. We're gonna do some different stuff, and then also with that, like we're gonna have a batting cage open where you get to compete against different players.
Yep,
See
the-
who can hit the farthest or
The
pitch
whole final roster will
farthest.
be there. The whole
The
deck
final
mates,
roster, yep,
deck
and
mates
then-
will- we'll all be there.
Yeah.
Someone,
Darren, you're gonna be there, right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Might
Darren
have
will be
to
there.
now.
And
Yeah.
then on top of that, like there's gonna be the rock wall. There's also gonna be someone can also try out driving Corey. I mean, Corey's the biggest
know-
golfer, so
Yeah, we went golfing a couple times last season with Corey, and it was best ball, right?
Mhm.
Best ball, and it kind of turned into Corey's ball on the, in the fairway area. But then when we get up to the green, that's when Destiny pulls out her putter and she's twirling it. She's like, "Yeah, let me get up."
Destiny gets cocky when she gets up to the green.
Yeah, she's
She-
a.
she-
That's where I shine.
It's
Putt
com-
putt
it's called
championship.
confidence.
Shout out to my
I
father.
I learned a new technique now that technically is not illegal.
Okay.
You can just put the flag down and just kind of put it at the hole and where your ball is. As you
Oh,
can use that as
the
a
ball
bumper.
can hit
like a bumper in
You
bowling.
can use a bumper in bowling.
Get out of here.
Let's try it.
And
All
speaking
right.
of,
Well, we'll move on. No.
speaking of bowling, we do have a new watch party this
Yeah.
year as well.
Heck
Yep,
yeah.
new watch
And actually,
party.
where our Deckmate Dancers
Had their media
promo
day.
video is
Yeah.
as well.
So Black Hawk Hotel, I know down on in the basement, right?
Yeah, it's in the basement.
They have a martini lounge,
and a
bowling alley. And fans, there'll be a couple deck mates, like the non-active players will also be there. We'll try to get Willie out there. I know people love Willie, so we'll try
And
to get him
I,
out there.
I am the best bowler, but you guys will never ever see me over there because I don't
We-
want to.
we
I
might
don't
have
want to kick people's butt. You know?
Ah,
What kind of average we working with, James?
Yeah.
300.
get out of here.
300 average.
We're not talking Wii sports bowling, are we?
No, we're talking about. I grabbed the 8-pound ball and I just chucked that thing right down there, and it's a strike every single time.
Is it straight? Is it straight, or do you have like a spin, or you just go straight?
Well, if I throw the 8-pound ball, it's straight. But if I
Okay.
throw the little heavier one, it still goes like 90 miles an hour, but it has a nasty.
See, I'm not
curve.
at
Okay,
this level.
so-
He knows all the pound weights and how they work. I go up to the set out ones. I'm like, yeah, that one good.
I
When
unfortunately
is
have a whole
this,
family.
when is this watch party? Because I may need to come watch this now.
March 28th is
Have
the
to
first watch party.
James do some
No,
bowling.
no, I won't be there. I won't be there.
He'll be
Yeah,
in
he's
Boston.
gonna come. He's gonna come to Boston.
I mean, my family lives up there now, so
Nice.
that's a pain in the butt.
That
in
sounds
itself.
like a future promo that we need to go do at a
Oh,
bowling
yeah.
alley.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Bowling with Hornswoggle.
out bowl
bowling with
James.
Hornswoggle. Yeah, there we go. Easy. No one's gonna beat me.
Right. What other event? Like, do we have any other events coming up before season?
Those
I know.
Ooh,
Those
just
are kinda-
those two. Just the March 8th
now.
party.
I know
and
that's
then
for now.
For now. I mean, for now. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we're
just those two.
kind of focused on getting
Locked
the players
in.
ready, locked in, kind of getting the season rolling.
Yeah, because we'll be pretty much nocturnal in the next 5 days.
I mean, if
Yeah.
anybody does want to try to beat me in bowling or golf, I come at me.
Steamlers.jamesmacklin@gmail.com. Send him an email. Tell him bowling challenge,
Yep.
and just tell him when
I
and
mean,
where.
I might take you up on the golf thing. I'm terrible at bowling.
I'm a
Okay.
master putter. I'm just saying
Golf?
that
I think
as
that's
well.
a promo.
I'll
we
take
gotta
that
run.
challenge.
A promo of,
Yeah.
of what? The
Yeah,
putt?
we gotta like
Yeah.
make this a contest with the fans.
Hey,
I mean,
you know
we
what?
do have one with Lamar that is
Mhm.
a putting challenge.
That'll be
So
exciting.
I could potentially be out there, and it could be the Lamar putting challenge against James.
Oh, okay.
Hey, back in the day, I hate saying back in the day, but since James is throwing out his skills here, there used to be a group of Steamwheeler fans that would tailgate in the parking lot, and they would hit golf balls into the river. So we would take the John Deere Gator, drive that thing out there, and go hit golf balls with them, before the
yeah.
game.
Heck yeah,
That's
that's
pretty cool.
awesome.
I
That's
love-
awesome.
I
And
love-
that-
I love seeing,
There's been a
like, them
lot
on
of
the
stuff I
river
want to throw
out
in
there.
that river.
I love seeing like our fans show up early and being out there tailgating. I know I've snuck out there to get a hamburger once or twice.
You've
With
definitely stolen, or not stolen. I'm sorry. You've
I
definitely
asked.
taken.
I asked.
You've definitely taken some things when you're walking through the arena as well. Is what you said.
I don't know.
Yeah, you
I don't
do.
know anything about that.
The Trust Club Suites.
Oh, maybe once. Hey, I asked.
Yeah.
You
permission.
asked.
Hey, as long as you ask, right?
I asked permission. I remember one time I was going up to get a photo
And someone was
photo
hungry.
op, and one of the kids was like, "Hey, can you give me a football? Can you give me a football?" Right? And I'm
Give
like,
me a hot dog.
"Can I have a hot dog? I'll get you a football."
Do a little trade. Yeah.
Right?
A little barter.
Yeah, and as long as
Hey,
it's-
they're making out on the football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and post game, those kids can go get a football. They can go down if they catch one, they can go down on the field and get it autographed by the fans. We have every night. I know we do the post game autograph session by Heyman's Ace Hardware. They do a great job getting that all set up for us, and we host that event. All the deck mates are there. All the players from the game, and
Mhm.
usually we're doing it after wins, and so that's always fun.
Always
Yeah,
a good
most
celebration.
definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of been the Wheel Talk podcast. I know we kind of got to get going. So that's been the Wheel Talk podcast. It's been pretty fun. I'm looking forward to what else comes out. Obviously, in the future, we'll have players on, coaches, some new staff members, some old staff members maybe, and kind of see where that goes. But big thank you to Darren, Planet 93.9 Studio, Regional Media, setting this all up, letting us use their studio and getting that all set up. And the out of this planet big hits coming up with that partnership, and I'm just excited.
Yeah, I screwed up that wording. My bad.
Oh, hey, you'll get it down. Remember, it's not even the first game yet. You got a
No,
game
it's
to get
not.
We got
all
time.
We got
work
this.
out all
We're
the
good.
kinks.
And we'll leave it to Casey, right? Casey
Yeah,
got
it's
it.
all up to Casey. So
Casey will
Casey,
Exactly.
this is on you
No,
now.
you guys are going to do a great job. I really appreciate the partnership.
Mhm.
You know, I'm looking forward to you guys coming in, you know, before home games, and you know,
Yeah.
wish you guys luck for a great season and bring home some hardware at the end of the year.
Cory, that's
That's the goal.
That's
Cory.
you, Cory.
That's you,
Come on.
Cory.
come on, Cory.
I want to see that trophy in here for the last episode of the
Oh,
season.
hold
okay?
up. Speaking of trophies, Cory, I think still has our Eastern Conference championship.
Oh yeah, he took that
trophy.
home.
He
with
uses
him.
it as
He needs to bring
motivation.
that back.
He uses that
He needs
as
to bring that
motivation.
bad
You
boy
gotta
back.
have that for motivation. You gotta look at it
Yeah.
every day.
He
Every
stole
day.
that thing, and we need it back.
So we're looking forward to 2025.
Heck yeah.
So, adios, amigos.
Yeah. Go Whalers.